Welcome, this is Jen, the Liberty Lion. I want to go over a couple of things in this video. This is just a screenshot. It's probably from Bouvier's or Bouvier's because it references Bouvier right here. So I'm not sure what dictionary I got this screenshot from, but it shows here that it's a screenshot. I took this in, I guess, 2013 or 2021, 6/13/2021. Okay, so I first want to go over positive law. And the reason why I want to go over this is because it's really important to understand possessio and the legal state if you understand positive law. So, for example, the Constitution is a positive law, but also any contract that you set your hand to, that you sign, becomes a positive law. It's an act that you perform voluntarily to make something a law for you. So when you go and you sign papers with the federal government or what you think is the federal government because it looks like a federal form, but it's something from the Federal Reserve Bank or one of the other many instrumentalities that the federal government has that looks like a federal department or agency, but actually isn't. When you sign those things, you have performed a voluntary positive act. Therefore, making that which is stated in that contract for you, because whatever you sign is basically a contract, becomes a positive law for you. So if I don't sign a W-4, I don't pay taxes. If you do sign a W-4, you do pay taxes. That's because you signed it and you made it a positive law for you. Okay, so possessio, and we're going to come over here because it's got legal state in here. And so I just want to read what it says on possessio and the legal state. And I apologize if you can't really see this very well. I'll do my best to enlarge it without enlarging it so much that it just becomes completely illegible anyway. So it says possessio, in its primary sense, is the condition or power by virtue of which a man has such a mastery over a corporeal thing as to deal with it at his pleasure and to exclude other persons from meddling with it. This condition or power is detention, and it lies at the bottom of all legal senses of the word possessio, or possession. This possession is no legal state or condition, but it may be the source of rights, and it then becomes possessio in a juristical or legal sense. Still, even in this sense, it is not in any way to be confounded with property, proprietas. A man may have the juristical possession of a thing without being the proprietor, and a man may be the proprietor of a thing without having the juristical possession of it, and consequently without having the detention of it. Ownership is the legal capacity to operate on a thing according to a man's pleasure and to exclude everybody else from doing so. Possession in the sense of detention is the actual exercise of such a power as the owner has a right to exercise. The term possessio occurs in the Roman jurist in various senses. There is possessio simpli and possessio civilis and possessio naturale. Possessio denoted originally bare detention, but this detention under certain conditions becomes a legal state, inasmuch as it leads to ownership through usucapio. Accordingly, the word possessio, which required no qualification so long as there was no other notion attached to possessio, requires such qualification when detention becomes a legal state. This detention then, when it has the conditions necessary to usucapio, is called possessio civalis, and all other possessio as opposed to civalis is naturalis. In the common law, possession, seisin, used especially of lands. Bracton treats possessio and seisina as synonymous and considers possession under a multitude of subdivisions as civil, which was retained only by intention, natural, which was held only by the physical act, rightful and wrongful, true and imaginary or fictitious, naked, where a person had no right, but only a mere foothold or standing, clothed, as with right, title, or prescription, and many others. There was also one kind which consisted of some degree of possession, but no right, as the possession of a guardian or creditor. Another kind which consisted of a good deal of possession and a little right, as the possession of an ancestor who died, seized, another leaving the mere right. Another kind which consisted of a great deal of possession and some right, as where one held land for a term by the grant of a person who demised it to him, but did not die seized, and a fourth kind consisting of much possession and much right, as where one had the mere right in a thing, and the property of the fee, and the freehold with seisin, but of which he did not die seized. So what I think about when I read this is when you go to select a property that you want, like a house, and you want to pay for the house, it's a mortgage. But then when you pay the house off, you receive a legal title, meaning you possess it, but you don't actually own it. Because if you don't pay the fee, which is the tax, they take it, right? And also when you talk about like your labor, you don't actually own your labor because it can be taxed. And if you don't pay the tax, they turn around and they take your earnings later, or they take your possessions. So if you own your possession, they can't take it. But if you don't own it and you only possess it, they can take it. Okay, so maybe someone knows more about possessio than I do, and they can leave something in the comments section on this. This is probably Bouvier's dictionary, but it's just a dictionary page, so I'm not going to post a link to it, but you can certainly take some of this from the video and Google it and probably find where this is actually at or more information on it. So there you have a legal state, something that isn't a legal state, but through possession can become a legal state. Possession and detention and so on and so forth, it can become a legal state. There are some things that once you possess it for a certain period of time, or once something is done for a certain period of time, it becomes as if it is a legal state or almost like a natural situation because it had exceeded the period of time, like for example, 100 years. So if a group of people practice a custom for 100 years, it becomes like a law. Okay, so That's positive law and legal state, possession, detention, so on and so forth. Like, share, subscribe, and see you later.